Sorry, I just dissociated for a second. My apologies.
I was taking a sip of water.
My- Hi, and welcome to another episode of Dungeons and Degrees. My name's Adrian.
And I'm Alex.
And I'm Lee.
And Lee, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, as I said, my name is Lee. I am a freelance artist who does a lot of Dungeons and Dragons character art, and I am working on my long-form comic.
Awesome. That's
very
amazing.
short.
How long
Well,
have you
yeah,
been
because
working
all
on
your
it?
energy is being spent into making a comic. So yeah.
Yeah, well, yes, definitely. Especially because it's my first comic, and I decided that it would be like a 3-book thing based on a D&D campaign, and it's a lot.
How long's your
Might
campaign?
have. Still going. We started that in 2016, 17. We're kind of on a hiatus right now. But when I decided that I wanted to base a comic on it, we were going for like 1.5 years. So yeah.
That's a lot of content to make, comic-wise, and to draw and all that stuff.
It is, but it is also such a great story. And I've wanted to do comics for a very long time. And I was like, well, I could write like a whole script and a whole thing. But then I was playing D&D, and I was like, shit, this is a really good story. And it's existing. Why don't I use this? And the entire gang was like, yes. And that's where we are.
And are you a player in this game, or are you the DM?
I'm a player in the
Oh,
game.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
really cool. My partner is the DM, and he homebrewed the entire thing.
That's really exciting. I have a couple of questions already. One, how do you record all of the things that happen? Do you have a really good memory, or do you write them all down?
No way. Oh, goodness. No, we do audio recordings, and I transcribe them. And I tend to sketch while playing a lot. So I have like volumes of sketched situations. So yeah. No, my memory is absolute shit.
No, that's totally fair. And then, okay, that was my second question. You already answered one before I thought it through. That is it a homebrew? And
Mhm.
that's so exciting. I know we had a conversation with a previous guest, John, who was talking about doing it as a book, but I think the graphic novel. But okay, here's my question. I got to it. How creatively burnt out are you by the end of the session?
You mean like a session of the game?
Yeah, the session of the game. So what I'm thinking is like, oh, I'm
Mhm.
playing as this character, and I know in your head you're probably like putting out the like plot points as well, like, or at least that's what I would be doing. And then you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to sketch this, and this is the idea here. But then,
I don't experience it like that, I think. No. I really, really just get absorbed into the game. And because we do the audio recordings, I feel very safe that I can just re-listen to anything that I need. And I tend to focus, and that is very nice for somebody with ADHD to be able to focus like that. I just focus on the character and the interactions and what we're doing. So no, usually I'm just too hyper to sleep by the end of it. Not burned out at all.
so it's the opposite, that you're not working while you're doing it, but afterwards you're
Yeah.
super jazzed and you're like, this is it. This is what I got to do now.
Yeah, especially if something really cool happened and there's like a James Bond heist style fight in the sky on the back of griffins and stuff, and I just go, I must draw all of this.
That is so amazing.
It's very inspiring.
That's so great. So is this kind of like you drawing while playing? Is this kind of like something that helps you focus on the things that are going on around you?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, I'm actually drawing right now.
Heard.
That's really
It-
funny because
it-
I cross stitch while we record.
Yes. It's so good to just do little thing with your hand just while you are talking. It just really helps me focus. And usually, because I'm a very visual person, obviously, the image just comes to me, and I'll just sketch it out real quick, and it doesn't matter if it's like a little scribbly thumbnail, but the essence of it is already there, and then I can just grab back to it whenever I need it. So yeah, definitely helps me focus. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was hearing a recording with Brennan Lee Mulligan talking about how people have different ways of focusing during the game or focusing in life. And to me, at
Mhm.
first, I had people who were on their phones and all that stuff, and it just felt so disheartening as a DM. Like, am I not that engaging, or is something going on? But slowly
Mhm.
but surely, I'm realizing that people have their own ways of staying present and staying in the moment, and they might be doing something else that to you is not the norm, or it looks like they're distracted. But in their reality, they're just like, I want to be here. I'm also being here present by, kind of doing something with my hands or reading something while
Mhm.
listening. And it's just all these other kind of mechanics that kind of play into the game or play into their own kind of
Mhm.
mindset for them to be able to focus.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that it's just I'm slowly coming to that realization now as a DM. I mean, it's hard to tell now since all my games are online and I'm out in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere. So I think that I don't think I'll fully understand if I've kind of like come to terms with that until I play again in person.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, yeah, we all have different ways to like help us focus. I mean, I can't imagine being on my phone being beneficial to me. Like, that's the interesting thing for me is that I will just, when I play, I just put everything that could possibly distract me away, and I just let myself be absorbed fully. And I don't have that with any other medium unless it's like a video game that really pulls me in, but not the same way, not in the same way.
That's a really interesting idea. I like that a lot, Lee. I just because if I'm on my phone, I'm more I mean, I look like I'm probably listening maybe, but I'm not really going to be listening if I'm on my phone.
Hmm.
But if I'm doing some sort of like I don't know, like craft or hand thing in front of me, so like cross stitching, I'm probably paying attention to you more if I'm doing that or if I'm doodling than if I'm legitimately just staring at you. I'm probably not
Hmm.
focused. But if I have that like movement in my hands where I may not be looking at you, but I'm definitely like able to listen better.
Hmm.
But
Could
that's really sorry. There I
Yeah.
on the train.
Huh.
But since you're an artist, right? Since that's what you do,
Hmm.
it comes second nature. So it's not as distracting as maybe being on your phone or doing something else, but
Yeah.
that's part of you and that's kind of a neat way to maybe think about is there something that you can do while there's something else going on that's just easier and natural and maybe that's your talent. Maybe that's what you should be doing with your life if you're having questions about it.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that. That makes a lot of sense, and I think the hand that your hands are busy. Like, it kind of reminds me. Maybe it's just because it makes us more present because you're focusing a lot on the for drawing. It's like the physicality, the movement, I guess, instead of just being in your head and listening. Just maybe I don't know.
um,
Makes sense because a lot of the time I'm also thinking about okay, I'm in this room and I need to make sure that I look like I'm present and that I'm paying attention. But then I'm in my head so focused on making sure I look like I am present and focused that I'm not present and focused. Like
Yeah.
I'm not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also think it's like an anxious thing, like, tapping your feet or spinning a pen, or like I have individuals where they have like young kids have to draw in order to talk to me because that anxiety of meeting a new person or talking with an individual. So I see that it's actually kind of like more around me than I actually thought it was.
Yeah, I can see that. And with drawing specifically, like I don't have to look you in the eyes, so it's extra easy on the anxiety.
Yes.
I jest, but it's true.
Yeah, I'm not worried about your unconscious feedback to me that I'm going to overanalyze in 2 seconds and then
Mhm.
you raised your eyebrow in the wrong way. And so now my anxiety is going to take control. And
Mhm.
like, did you do that because you're mad at what I said? Are you doing that because you're distracted by me? And then it just spins out of control.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that.
I had that happen in an interview. I was like focused, and then all of a sudden I'm like, has this person blinked? are we just making unending eye contact? And then I was like, I can't look at her in the eyes anymore. I got to look away. So I like for the rest of the interview, I think I looked at her another like 3 times within 15 minutes. So that didn't look good.
I mean, there's also the option to use your words.
Yeah.
But that is even more scary.
Oh
Listen, I
no, to
noticed
be
that you haven't
vulnerable.
blinked. Are you okay?
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, I had somebody, I don't know if this is the same thing, but I had somebody, I took my mask off to eat something and I was socially distant, so I was okay there. But I had a breakout in acne and I had this grown ass woman ask me, "What's wrong with your face?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, is there something on it?" She goes, "No, it's all red and broken out." And I was like, "Oh, bitch, this is my face." What?
That's really, really mean of her. Did
So
you just reply, "What is wrong with your mouth and why is it talking to me?" No.
No, but I definitely she might be a coworker, and I definitely do not interact with this person if I can help it. But isn't that like? Anyways, sorry. That's my relatable opportunity today. Like a grown ass woman,
Just like she's never seen
Fuck
it
her.
before.
right?
That too.
Oh man, that's okay. I over compliment her. That's my that's my jab back, as I'm super
do
nice.
you become super friendly?
Oh yeah. If I'm mad
Oh,
at you, I'm
yeah.
super nice.
I do the same thing.
That's awesome.
If I'm grumpy to you, it's good. Ugh.
All right, let's talk about safety barriers of play that protects us from reality.
Mhm.
Oh, that sounds deep.
Oh,
Very.
yeah. Lee wrote this. This is Lee's contribution.
I wrote that?
Yeah. I'm reading the email right now. The safety barrier of plays that protect us from the reality. Yeah. I know it's been. Oh my
yeah.
goodness, that's
Yeah,
it's been like 2 weeks.
It's been a hot second since I wrote that.
No worries.
Like I said, bad memory.
No worries.
I love
did
that
I
moment
mean
where
by
you're
that?
like, I'm a fucking genius. I don't remember saying that, but I'm a genius.
Oh, I know what I meant with it now. Yes, I needed to think about it for a hot second. Yeah. It's like a warm bath to pretend to be somebody else, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And to act without, there's consequences, of course, in the game. But, if I destroy someone's property because I'm angry in game, the police is not going to knock on my door. So it's safe. It feels safe to experiment within the game, and I don't want to endorse destruction of property, but the safety and the feeling of just shedding life as it is right now and at any point in time, but definitely right now, is very, very nice.
I think my question to you is, what kind of characters do you play? Do you play people that are not like you, or is it something that is kind of aligned with you?
There's a lot of mixed things there. I think I started out definitely with doing that thing where you create a character that has a lot of analogs with you. But I have veered away from that a lot. Like sometimes I'm a really sarcastic scientist, and sometimes I am an absolutely low int, low whiz fighter who has no idea how to deal with people. Or it's really mixed. I really like trying to make every character unique in that way, and I do like my characters flawed. That is the overarching thing.
For the sarcastic scientist, what's their flaw? And Alex, I'm sorry.
What the sarcastic scientist? Sorry, my cat is in the background.
No worries. The flaw. You said you play with a flaw, and like you described this low int individual who doesn't know what's going on, and then you see this sarcastic kind of like scientist who's just like I was like, that sounds great. Like, where's the flaw? Like, I didn't hear the immediate flaw. I was wondering what the flaw was.
Oh, the scientist is an absolute pathological liar.
Ah, okay.
And it bites her in the ass constantly. Like she'll go through a situation.
What is she lying about? I have questions.
Literally everything. She sounds like this. It's really annoying. She's like, "Oh no, I'm just walking here. I'm going to. Don't worry, I'm not doing anything illegal at all." She's really stupid in that regard, but she'll try to get out of a situation and just lie through her teeth. And yeah, in this this specific individual has two organizations on her tail right now that both really want her to not be alive anymore. Good times.
Awesome. Sorry,
I just
Alex.
immediately assumed she was lying about her results of her data. So there's where my brain went.
Oh, definitely. There was a murder that she was, she knew more about, but she couldn't say anything or she would implicate a friend who also did not actually do the murder, but was involved and could be implicated by just being in that situation. So it was very tense and very much us trying to use subterfuge to get out of that. It didn't work out. Honestly, one of the best times I've ever had in game, just because it was so incredibly, constantly stressed. Like, oh shit, oh no, oh no! Just the stacking of that was just beautiful.
Alex, you had a question before I interrupted you. My apologies.
What does she lie about?
Oh, okay. Heard. Okay. Just making sure it didn't anything else.
Just like mishandling information. I just watched one of the documentaries on Hulu about like COVID-19 and like the United States response, which first of all was very stressful because we're still living in it, and they were presenting it like it had happened and maybe we were watching this like 7 years in the future. We didn't, we were just learning about this like COVID-19 situation and like just the general lying that happened. That's it. That was my direct correlation of like, oh my god, this bitch is lying. Oh my god, I just watched something that happened in real life about that. And I exploded.
I feel that. Yeah.
Okay, so I totally agree with having a flaw is such a good way to play the game, because an individual that has everything kind of like, oh, I am this perfect specimen of human ingenuity, and the thing is that you can't with a die be that all the time. When you start getting those 1s, 2s, and 5s, you start seeing like your character, the way you've kind of like presented it, is slowly falling apart. So having a flaw can easily tie into those kind of like roles where you mess up. Well, I guess it was because of my intelligence, or it's because of my charisma's not well, or I'm just not that strong. So I think that having a flaw can easily kind of plays into that kind of story you're creating when rolling the die. So I think it's amazing. Too many times I've seen players like, I'm this total badass, and get frustrated when the die are not cooperating with the story they're trying to tell.
Yeah, I feel that. I think for me, my favorite moments, I mean, I play a campaign and some other side games and a bunch of one-shots when my friends are like, oh, let's do like a fun thing, and then it always turns into like a 5-episode thing.
Yep.
So I've played a lot of characters, and my favorite characters are always the ones that do shit wrong because of how they are. And it's so much fun to think about how your character would react when situations go wrong, and not just about how they would react when they go right, because that's a person. A person has sides, layers. So yeah, definitely.
I think that's a good point. To show the, vulnerability of a person.
Lying is a great flaw.
Lying is. I spent a lot of my like beginning D&D of like trying to play a very balanced character, and I do that through video games too, that like for whatever, well, thinking about it, I know why, but thinking about having that like perfect balance and not really being too good at anything specifically, because that means that I'm going to be not good at something else. I think I need to go make a therapy appointment, because I can see, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, flawed characters makes the story interesting, and then we want to move forward. and we get to hear all these cool things that have happened. And, you know, sometimes the best adventures happen when it wasn't perfect.
Mhm.
And then I was like, oh, wait, hold on. Like, back it up. Your girl doesn't play it like that. Your girl is like, tries to play it easy and in the middle, but we're gonna work on that for future campaigns of not being perfect.
Well, if you ever need inspiration, just hit me up. I can just shake them out of my sleeve.
No, I'm definitely not perfect, but that
Oh,
doesn't make my intentions try to be
yeah,
as perfect as possible.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think there's a balance between feeling like you're accomplishing something as a character versus having flaws or being perfect as a character. Because if you do not feel accomplished as a character despite your flaws, it's also then you start getting bogged down a little bit by the negativity, you know?
Hmm.
Like you need that agency and to be able to do things in game despite of how you've designed your character. But it's like perfection is boring to me in people, in stories, in characters. So that reflects in the characters I make, I guess.
What a good life lesson.
Nobody's perfect, doesn't exist.
Yeah,
Accept it right now, and people will still love you.
that is
Oh,
true.
people still liking you despite the things that you do. That's crazy, right? Oh my
Mhm.
gosh.
I think that what's called it's hard. I mean, that's kind of like part of the escape. Like you want to be better than in a certain aspect or something, or like kind of
Mhm.
run through a scenario that you wouldn't usually be able to in real life. Like fucking climb a mountain or slay a dragon. These things that your character gets to do, and that connections he has with other individuals kind of like makes it feel good and fun when they succeed when you start connecting with them, but
Mhm.
also doing things that you wouldn't normally be able to do in real life, especially like talking to other individuals in person.
Be social.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ah, yeah. I think, yeah, that's interesting that you say that because wanting to be a different person, it's interesting because I just realized that I say like I make my characters flawed and I like to give them weaknesses and long ass backstories that my DMs either love or not. But I think for me, it's mostly that I'm looking for a compelling story within the game. Yeah, I just had that realization. Thank you. This has been very a teachable moment for me.
It happens all the time.
we're here for those teachable moments.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
I mean, I've recently started to do that, like making an interesting story instead of making this individual that I cannot be. I used to put like, okay, so my first characters was a halfling rogue.
Mhm.
I'm definitely not sneaky. I'm not like someone who steals. I'm a very goody two shoes individual, but I just naturally like, dude, I want to do some mischievous shit. That's what I want to do. So I thought that looked fun, and that's how I kind of made my characters. I want to be like that thorn in the side, something that I don't usually do. Some people that I know who do it to me, like I have an idea how that is because people have done it to me. But yeah, that's how I first came around characters, and now slowly it's like, what's gonna make this guy interesting, and why does he want to heal? Why does he have very few attack spells? Why is he so happy-go-lucky? What is he hiding? What is he actually doing? If you're happy, why are you adventuring, kind of thing.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, if you're content with life, you don't have to look for anything else. I mean, unless adventuring is part of that kind of contentness. But that's kind of the now of how
Yeah.
I've created characters recently.
Nice. Yeah, I feel that. That's my approach too. Like characters need like motivation and reasons for their actions. Also, because how will you otherwise play them consistently?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you don't decide beforehand why there are like that's the whole thing. I've also DM'd a couple of things, and you need to have like reasons for these characters to be together, but the characters also have to have reasons to be where they are. Yeah, if you don't have that, how will you know how you're going to play? Does that make sense?
Yes, no,
Yes.
it
No, that
does.
makes total sense. That makes a really good idea and a really compelling reason to make sure that the DM as well has a good understanding of why these characters are doing the thing, or maybe, just being a little more intentional with the other elements of the game that you pull in. So
Mhm.
maybe your characters do need a break from like really heavy problem solving and thinking, and maybe we just need to punch a bunch of people, or maybe
Yeah.
it is time for them to like take the next step and get closer, one step closer to the big bad. And so, how does that look, and why are they doing that? And ultimately, why are they trying to destroy this big bad, or how are we getting there?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think, a lot of my players recently, I only have one concurrent game at the moment. The only reason they started putting like kind of emphasis on their backstory and not just like another Roll20 game that they just joined was when they started seeing some emotions from the other characters. When other people started investing in their characters, they're like, well, let me do the same. Like I thought that was so cool that they only decided it when somebody else kind of took that initiative to make it a deeper game than it is. Like it's not just like I'm gonna hit the guy over and over again until we level up. It became like, okay, I actually have a mission. I actually have some wants. I actually have some needs. And then they get invested in the characters. And I just thought it was so cool.
Yeah, that's like crack to me. That's better. That's just serotonin. It's yeah, that's beautiful to see. And if you, I have the incredible privileged position to have a group of friends who are all like that and who are very invested in making characters like that and make them interconnect. And that is just I I feel very lucky that is a group of friends that I am within.
That's awesome. As as you're talking about investment into the character, something that I kind of want to come around and talk about is player character death. Has
Oh.
that happened in your games? Have you done it as a GM?
Final death, no. And I think that is partly because the games that we play, we don't set out to get characters permanently killed because of that investment. And that is a choice, by the way. That's not something everybody will agree with, doesn't have to agree with. That's totally fine. But definitely situations where that tension comes close to that. And yeah, that is very harrowing. And I hope that I will never have to witness a permadeath of a character. But if it happens and it fits in the story, I will make peace with it. That's what I've always said. So,
Found your people.
yeah, definitely. How about you? Let me just ask you questions.
Yeah, go ahead. We're here for it.
Have either of you had like permadeaths of characters that you're like, oh no, what do I do now?
Uh, as a player, I've had many a characters die. I do not know why. Permadeath and, and almost death all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that critical threshold, or just there was no healers that could bring me back, and, we didn't have a campaign to save my soul or anything. It was just like, well, on to the next, I guess. And I don't know if it's because back then wasn't invested, but it always seems that the characters I play are always in the front lines when they don't need to because they're always trying to help somebody. That's just unfortunate thing that I have personally that I put into my characters. So I'm always trying to do something because I guess my thing is like you're adventure, you're a hero, and heroes don't like run away. Heroes try to save the person in front of them, and if that means death, so be it. As long as you've saved somebody. So like one of my first character deaths, I was a dwarf cleric, and this breath weapon was about to just obliterate everybody, and I'm like, I'm going to try to save somebody that might help everybody else. It was like the other healer, so I jumped in front of the blast. I'm like, I want to take all of this from that person, and I died. I died from that,
Damn.
and I'm just like, it just seems like every DM I've had, I've always had some sort of death experience. And I don't think it's
Oh,
the DM. I just think it's me as a player who always jumps in front of the bullet or something.
well, I don't entirely agree with that because I feel like DM has a lot of power there, and yeah, it's very easy. Like, it's really easy as a DM to be like, okay, well, on the spot decide to not make it a permadeath, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, of course, you can have, especially if that is a character that you write, like, okay, he's going to be on the front line, he's going to do X and X and X. Yeah, I think you shouldn't like actively avoid the like it shouldn't be like, okay, your character can never die. There should always be that tension field of that can absolutely happen.
Hmm.
But I think that as a DM, you have the power to at least make sure that it is not meaningless. I'm very much for storytelling, and I would find it not disappointing, but unnecessary to see characters die in a meaningless way, because it's also really shitty for the player in the end. It's just my opinion. I will add. I know that there's a lot of people who have gripes with what I just said, but that's just my opinion.
No worries. I
'Cause I
mean,
think that's an interesting way, since it is a fantasy game. We have some level of control of the story, of the
Mhm.
narrative that these characters and, essentially players are going through. I think it's a very interesting idea because we know in the real world sometimes there are meaningless deaths, and ultimately we always try to find a reason, right, as like human people, why
Mhm.
why did this person die? What happened? Is there a lesson that I can learn from that? Or is there some way I can, change the world because of this passing?
Yeah,
And
I
so,
feel that.
yeah, being carried into a game, especially where you have more control, it makes absolute sense that you don't want to see someone just like needlessly die.
No, and I think that that just differs per group, differs per person. If the DM decides that this is how it's going to be, I will always accept. I mean, I'm not going to argue with the DM. The DM's final word is always the thing that I will listen to. But yeah, for the sake of storytelling, player agency, and it's just really disheartening to see somebody lose their character and then just absolutely go into mourning about that. I've seen that happen. It's really sad.
yeah. I've seen a lot of live
But
shows
yeah,
where that happens and they're just like crying that their friend died. And I'm like, I don't think I've had that happen. I don't have the same kind of like storytelling group that those individuals do. I have just like, oh, that was kind of shitty. Go on, kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I think that it is shitty when it is kind of meaningless. But I always like I don't the people I hang out with. They just they want to have a game for fun. So when I found other people who wanted to have that like kind of collaborative storytelling experience, which this game to me is that's what it is. It's group storytelling, with a little bit of
absolutely.
randomization with dice. I think that I've
Absolutely.
never had that kind of connection of like, oh, we mourn a character. I think one of our characters, we lit his character sheet on fire, to like, because he had died and he kept just died, and we just kind of like had a funeral for him outside, and we just lit it
Oh
on a beer
gosh.
bottle, and we just watched it burn for a bit.
I like that.
Yeah,
A Viking funeral for your
for the barbarian, it was pretty great.
for the barb. Yeah.
um, but yeah, I think that's. I wish I had more individuals that I could connect with like that, and I think I've found
Hmm.
some every now and then, but it's hard to get a game together.
It always is, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm trying to get one together soon, but I always have something coming up. Work is just all over the
Murder.
place.
Those of
Yeah.
you who are wondering what Adrian is talking about, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you get to play one shots with us once a month. So become a Patreon sponsor for us. Thank you.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Nice.
I didn't want to say it, but Alex is all about it. She knows
Absolutely. Plug it.
exactly.
I
Um,
don't know if that's what you were talking
it
about, but I'm
was.
going to assume and take it.
It
I'm going to
was.
take the. Okay.
um, and I have like other things that I wanted to do too, but I just time, time and my own kind of mental health and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And I guess we can talk about mental health. There's a I've had players who've had missed like some of their medicine, so they've had like almost an episode during our game, and it's
Mm.
I'd have had to stop and talk, but like that individual's like, no, just it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I'm like, oh, but it's not. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna kind of try to wrap it up here, and then I have a conversation with them. It's not like I have to as the DM. It's just that that's who I am, and I try my
Mhm.
best to make sure they're okay.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's interesting. I want to make sure that when I play this game, it's for everybody and not just for the people that are always okay. Some people aren't going to be okay. Some things are going to happen in life. You miss one of your meds, and then things kind of aren't as set for you in those moments. So that's
Yeah.
been my trouble. Like, I want to be. I want this game to be for everyone as much as I can be.
Yeah, I feel that. And I have a couple of friends who deal with various things. And for me, like I noticed that if I do not take my ADHD medication, it's not like it will derail. But it's just not the same because it's yes, I will focus, but it's not memories worse, choices I make I don't agree with in the end. It's you react differently in stress situations. So I very much understand that uh, need to, yeah. We've stopped sessions for things like this, just to make sure that everybody was okay. So yeah, it's hard, but yeah, we got to take care of each other too.
Yeah.
I think that's important because it sounds like the group that you have is certainly like a friend group. It's not just
Yeah.
strangers on the internet or whatever it is. But even if it was strangers on the internet, like people on the internet still need love and respect and understanding that whatever it is that they're going through is 100% valid. And if I have this group that I'm doing these, character developments and we're building these relationships, those are still legitimate and real. And I still want to be able to play with you. I don't want you to feel like, oh, well, you're nothing because of something that's going on and we just need to go over it. No, like I want to make sure that you're taken care of so we can enjoy it. And, I care about you. And that's how I want to show you that you are important in this group.
Yeah, that's very, very, yeah. I wish that everything and everybody was like that. Yeah. Yeah, it's just really good, because you often see a lot of people, because I've tried games with strangers. I will never do that again.
Oy.
I have bad experiences. um, but I have seen people just push through with their own shit and just disregard what other people are feeling or how they're doing. And it's, yeah, if you can take care of each other and make sure that people are okay, doesn't that just also make the game better in the end?
Yeah, it's a social game. Shouldn't we all
Yeah.
be participating together? And if you
Hmm.
decide that, your individual plan is like, I've got to get this done, I've got to get this done, you're ignoring the other parts of the game and trying to make it about you. This is a social thing. This isn't
Hmm.
just a single individual thing. I mean, you can have your your strives, your motivations, your things, but try not to like ignore the other individuals that are still there at the table. It's
Yeah.
it's a together thing, and we're playing this together. And if it was just a single thing, I mean, we have video games for that. We can pursue our own kind of like single player mode in those instances.
Yeah, just go be Commander Shepard for a couple of hours.
Yeah, exactly. uh, I
Yeah, no,
think,
I feel that. Yeah.
I mean, like I've seen people do single like by themselves missions, but sometimes like if the other players aren't invested because of I guess the socialness of that individual. It's just hard to like have that constantly. Um,
Hmm.
like I've seen like our rogue who's always trying to help the party because he's got the highest sneak. He's like everyone's just like on edge watching him, making sure he doesn't get caught, kind of thing. But when it's like another individual who's just like, it seems like it's like selfish reasons that they go about these things and a not understanding of the party's motivations. It seems like everyone, when I do those scenes, are just super uninterested, and I'm like, oh no, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm just trying to make sure everyone's okay and playing.
Hmm.
It's tough to be in those situations.
Yeah, and I think I don't know how you guys do that, but we've pretty much opened the dialogue for that. Like, okay, if there's ever a point in the game where you're like, "Hey, time out. What's happening right now?" Or if something happens that you just don't agree with, we just have like a okay, stop, and then we just discuss it, and we're open about it. And I know that that is really hard and scary, and that took us a long time. But yeah, that has been very beneficial, and I can definitely recommend that.
Could you give me an example? I mean, I find this opening up the dialogue is very interesting to me.
Hmm. Well, it could be, for example, like a situation where you are having an RP moment, where you're having a discussion with someone, and it's quite like an intense topic, and you feel like you can't properly answer because you actually have to think about it, and like it would cause you an anxiety to like give a like an ad hoc answer at that moment in time, and you can just see the other players go like, okay, this is taking a really long time, why are you being so silent, you know? And instead of letting that situation continue, we would be like, okay, hey, I notice this is happening to me in my mind right now, can we take a break? And then I can think about it for like 2 minutes, and I'll come back and I can continue the conversation because I can't do it right now. And that is absolutely no problem.
Gotcha.
That just super helps. It's super helpful. Or it can also be because if you're in a group with players who are, very present and have big voices, sometimes people talk over each other or they meddle in how other people are playing their characters. And yeah, we have made it a rule that if that happens, you speak up and you're like, hey, guys, this is not fun for me anymore. If you are just constantly interrupting and constantly talking over each other, can we try to be better? And then we try to be better.
So
So
like
yeah,
a safety net.
timeouts.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Timeouts.
timeout. Timeouts are good.
That's cool. I think I need to be more for the game that I'm running because it's a very dark campaign. So my players have soft stops and hard stops, just like things that
Oh, okay.
make them uncomfortable because I'll describe something that's gruesomely happening or like the evil bad guy is just being real A1 dick to this somebody or like, hey, I need, I told my players to like, listen, this is gonna get dark. I'm gonna start describing stuff, and if anyone feels uncomfortable, just let me know. And I try my best. Things that seem very like very uncomfortable, I stay away with. But I don't know everybody else's experience, so I try my best to do that for them. But I think what you explained is something that I
Hmm.
haven't kind of thought of, the social aspect of the game where, hey, it's not you as the DM that's making this kind of unenjoyable, but it's the kind of things that are happening currently because of the tension that's going on or the
Hmm.
conversation that's going on. Like, I need to be looking out for my players and what's making this game fun. Because if somebody's not having fun, we're not. We may not be playing right, or we may not. We might be stepping on people's toes. So to have that look out for them, I think is kind of an important thing that I personally definitely need to start incorporating. But so I think that's really cool, Lee.
Yeah, for us it's really normal now, and we just it wasn't always like that, and I've had various experiences with various groups But this is definitely for me something that really helped me feel more comfortable and just explore even more crazy character developments. And it's it will make your friend group or play group closer, in my experience.
So
Awesome.
my follow-up question to this, because I think it's a beautiful idea to have those boundaries. And Adrian, you talked about having soft and hard boundaries. And I think that's a really important way to play. But since you've implemented this in your play, Lee,
Mhm.
how has your like, because I feel like your personal life would actually change too, because you're using really good, emotionally intelligent language in sort of a safe place. Do you see that it's had an effect? And if you have, like, how does it affect your like real life?
Well, absolutely, it's definitely affected the way that I approach friendship and social situations. But that is all before 2020. No, I'm joking. No, the things that because you learn a lot about yourself when you play D&D. I mean, I did. I don't know if this is a universal thing, but I
It
definitely
is.
did. So that has also made me think about, okay, well, if I do this in game and if I do this for these players and these characters, this is actually really good shit that I can just implement in my friendships and to be more understanding and to listen more um, to what other people need and to just watch out if they are comfortable. So that has made me more aware because in a game you're hyper focused on the other players and what is going on. At least I am. Don't want to speak for everyone. I say that a lot, but I just don't want to piss anyone off, you know.
Look, but if we could speak for everyone, it'd be amazing, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Terrifying, but amazing. Um, but yeah, you're very focused on what's going on in the game and the characters and what's happening. And it's definitely made me more aware of how people in real life experience emotions and how they deal with stressful situations. And yeah, I think that has made me grow as a person. Yeah.
I can absolutely see, like, you have the training wheels of talking to people that you see weekly, and like you're having that really good practice. And I mean, I assumed I knew the answer, but I don't want to make assumptions. Just like you don't want to speak for people, I don't want to assume that I know what you're thinking. But I think that's a really good I think that's a really good thing. So here's my pitch, Adrian.
Okay.
We make like a safety how-to video of like having safe, emotionally intelligent conversations during D&D. And like that's what we do. We just we can be rented out and talk to individual groups and like do team building, but talking about emotional intelligence in D&D.
I mean,
I'll
yeah,
draw you some graphics.
awesome.
It's
That
a
would be,
whole thing now.
yeah. I mean, I think it's important because I think some of these individuals don't see that. They see this as like, I want to make this amazing story with these people. When they do that, they sometimes ignore the other social aspects. Like I've kind of, I guess, already said previously, like GMs who just kind of like hijacked the party to do the quest that they want to do instead of listening to what's going on and not giving the party the urgencies or the wants that they do to, complete the quest. I think that there's individuals out there that definitely need this because it's not just like a game thing. This is like a real
Mhm,
life thing. People don't
mhm,
sometimes like they see their own goals as this is what I need to do in life, and that's
mhm,
all there is to it.
mhm.
Like this thing we do in life, there's other people around it, and the things that you do affect other people, and it's to incorporate them into your life properly. You need to be able to see what they're doing, see how they're feeling, and be able
Yeah.
to be okay with that. So I think some people who have their one-track minds on their goal and kind of push these individuals or use these individuals to their needs, need that. And some people just can't see it. They have that kind of social awareness zero, and it'd be good practice for individuals.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you say that because I have a game design background, and basically DMs are game designers, in my opinion. And there's a lot of study behind game design and what people need, because your players have needs. People react in a certain way because of certain stressors and certain choices and certain story elements, based on who they are as people, but also because of how we work biologically and psychologically. And not everybody has that in-depth knowledge, and should not be expected to, by the way, because that's
Yeah.
a lot. But railroading, like you described it, that is just also very often because people don't know how to otherwise get players to a certain point. And it's, people have needs, players have needs, and you can't like open a third eye on your forehead and just know.
Yeah.
That's why using words and talking to people is important, even if it's scary.
And I think that's important, especially if you're starting to think about DMing, that, you know, there is a lot of responsibility in how you play, whether you know or you acknowledge it or not. You have a lot of ability to get your players to do what you want them to do without having to necessarily railroad them immediately. Or, you know, if you are feeling like you have to railroad, maybe that's a good time as a DM to take a step back and say, okay, have I shown my player characters their objective? Have I done everything that I need to be doing? Or do I need to maybe reanalyze what the story is and how my players want to play? And
Yeah.
I think that's a lot. It's a lot. When you just think about picking up, you know, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and you're like, cool, I know how to play. Just like, you know, you're birthed into this world, and you're like, cool, I know how to be a human. But like,
Do we?
sometimes there's got to be a little more intentionality in being a DM or being a player, and I think that's one thing, especially having all these conversations within our podcast, that I'm starting to really acknowledge that, you know, a life is a lot better when you are intentional, right? With your thoughts, with your emotions, with your ideas of how you play Dungeons and Dragons, with, you know, the people you have around you. And that makes a huge difference on your life. And, you know, where is our responsibility of like finding those people who suck and being like, hey, bro, let's talk about some things. Here's this really rad Dungeons and Dragons podcast group that they've made you like, so you want to be a DM video.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those things. Yeah, no, I mean, it's tough to make those kind of like, I don't want to say assumptions, but that idea of like, this is how, you know, the game should be played. This is how this could be played. I think that because it's a tabletop RPG, the way it's played, the way we go about it, it's all entirely on the group itself. You know, you have to have that conversation.
Yes.
This is something that we talked about last episode, because I don't know what week it was going on, but everybody was talking to me like, I didn't like how they were playing it. This is how it should be played. You know, I had those conversations because people were just like kind of venting to me, and it was like, yeah, I had my own opinions about the situation, but I just like, this is not my time to talk. This is my time to listen. And I have a podcast, so I can talk then. But what I just realized, like, well, it feels like that I do see that to them, that's how the game should be played, definitely. But I think that's the thing, is that the DM didn't see that way, or the player didn't see it that way. And I think there was a misunderstanding between the two. Because of this social game we play, we have to make sure that everybody's under the same umbrella, like, this is going to happen. In my game, it's getting a little deadly. So I'm like, look, I'm gonna be real with y'all. Someone might fall, and if we don't get to X level where the cleric has Revivify, that might be it. So they had that understanding. And all of them, like, hey, they're very interesting second characters that were still in the world. Like, can I play this character that you brought in? I'm like, okay, so everyone's understands that this could potentially happen, and this is the people that they believe they can bring in. Which, like, having that conversation with them, giving them that heads up, made it feel so much easier to continue with the plans that I had. because I was afraid if I down somebody or kill somebody, someone's gonna get mad, someone's gonna get upset. But the way they were talking about it, like like they still love their characters, but they were also excited to potentially play another character. And I think that because I brought that up early, because I talked about it, they understood what kind of game I was playing and what we were going to play together. And
Perfect.
yeah, exactly. That it's very important to have that conversation with your players, like before the game. Like this is what is going to happen. Otherwise, if something you don't like as a player, as a DM happens, then it feels awkward. It feels like, well, they already have this preconceived notion of what they want. How do I tell them I don't want that? I mean, that's the importance of bringing it up before the game, before things are in motion, people are thinking about what they want to do next. Have that conversation beforehand for sure.
Yeah, dialogue is very, very important. And yeah, the clear boundaries and clear communication of how things are going to be. Like sometimes your GM style doesn't match the player, or the player doesn't match the GM style. That happens, and that's okay. And you can make the choice of not joining that game if you know that in session 0. Like, I don't know if I actually like this because you told me we were going to go RP heavy, and I just really want to worry about my stats and getting numbers and just fighting technically. That is a totally legit way of playing D&D, but then this group might not be for you, and vice versa.
Exactly, yeah.
So establishing that early will save you a lot of grief.
Yeah. Yeah, D&D is a big time sink. A fun one, though. So make sure that you know what you're getting into because not all sessions are the same.
Oh, good God, no, they're not. I played one yesterday. Where we played like a homebrew multi-shot of a friend. And it was literally the entire session was just us in camp. And it was all RP. And it was glorious. But the previous session, we had a really harrowing battle. So the contrast was quite large. Like the previous session, the DM was very, very engaged and had to do a lot of stuff and was very busy with his enemies and everything. And this session, he just sat there eating fucking popcorn.
Those are my favorite sessions to DM.
Oh, it was beautiful. A disaster, but beautiful.
Sometimes you need those moments. I always see it that my players tend to have those RPs after a big battle because a lot goes on. Their encounter or closeness to death brings out a bit more dialogue of who they are and what they're doing. Like that urgency to tell people or to talk to people just becomes so much heightened after a big combat.
Absolutely.
I like this other thing, the incredible tool it is to test situations you'd normally be anxious for. I don't know if I've personally done that. I mean, I've definitely jumped in front of, I'm not anxious to go jump in front of somebody because it doesn't happen that often. But it's these kind of RP moments, these conversations. I don't think I've personally ever had that. So I was interested in what you've kind of you sought in it or you found in it.
So much of this. I'm now a pathological liar. No, joking.
It's all good.
No. It's I think with the character that is going to be in the comic that I'm making, she's a very stoic. Like I'm very animated as a person when I'm comfortable, and she's just very stoic and introverted in a way that she's just her language is I will talk when I feel like I have something to say and be very, very, very direct about it. And I hate confrontations in real life. I cannot handle them. And playing that character the way that her personality is has made me, has given me not bravery, what's the word? Courage to be more outspoken if I am in a situation where I'm listen, I don't fucking like this. You need to stop. Because I practiced it with that character. So, yeah.
I really like that idea, and that's probably why we keep coming back to like D&D is therapy, because it does have the need to perform things correctly is low, right? I don't have to be perfect, or I can explore these other traits that are not me in an area that it's not being completely associated to me, right? I do theater, right? Me, Alex, I do theater sometimes. Not
Mhm.
in, pandemic, but I know that one of the biggest things that holds me back in doing a performance well is, oh my God, what if this character trait is associated to me, Alex, and not the character that I'm playing? And I know that that was a big thing that I had to get over. Like, no, this is not going to be associated to me. You're okay. Like, calm down. But I like taking that the other way of being like, okay, let me practice what this sounds like in my voice. And maybe I can find a way to be more assertive, or, you know, relax a little bit more, or, stand up for myself when the time is appropriate, or I need to say something.
Hmm. That's a really good realization. What you mentioned about things being associated with you as the person instead of the character. I have that absolute anxiety as well, and I didn't know until you said it in the words that you just used. So, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Huh.
Yeah,
No, you're
that's
absolutely fucking right. Yeah, that's wow. I am having realizations right here at my desk.
yeah, we
Huh.
it happens more often, like for with us and with our guests. They're just like, "Wow, I actually didn't realize that hasn't happened." Like,
Hmm.
so it's I don't know. It's just this weird thing that happens with when you interact with different individuals with a different mindset. So I,
I am really enjoying this. Thank you.
of course, we really enjoy having these conversations.
Hmm.
It's a
But
fun
yeah,
thing.
it's really hard to like identify what is it that I don't like, and why do I have such a problem with like not identifying like that. Um, the easiest thing that I like to pull is like when I came out of the closet, I was like, no, there's no way I like girls at all, ever, not even a little bit. And then I was like, okay, but hold on. Like, why did we reject that so hard? And what is wrong with having a different identity other than being a heterosexual person? And so that was a long ass journey that I went through of just being like, no, you can like everybody. That's fine. Okay, you're fine. But that was like a pivotal moment of me being like, I don't like Uranus and Sailor Neptune because they're gay. And you're like, okay, but hold on. But like, you like them. So, like, is that a problem? So, you know.
Yeah, we have to work through these things, and I feel some some overlap there for myself. Yeah, that is. Yeah, we have to ask ourselves, like, why are we worried that people would associate these things with us? What do we have against them? Like, listen, if you're going to murder orphans in the street in your game, sure, then you need to question. Then it's good that you don't want that to be associated with you as a person.
Yeah.
But yeah, the more social parts, unpacking and unraveling that can be interesting and informative.
Adrian,
Self-realization
how do
through
you
games
feel?
is pretty. But how do I feel? I feel good.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Just how you feel about that? Like,
That
what are
that's
you thinking?
oh, just the thing that I mean, this isn't D&D related, but just kind of self-actualization. Like when I was called, yeah, when I was younger, and they called me gay, and I would get so mad. Um, and I didn't, later on, it wasn't about, realizing that, I did like men. It was more of like, it's not a bad thing to be called these things. That was
Mhm.
my realization. That was my kind of struggle to finally see that, like, okay, yeah, no, you think that this is what I am. I'm actually straight, but how I tell it to young kids because they're always so angry when those names get called to them. I'm like, look, they're wrong. If you don't feel like that way, then you're not. Them telling you this doesn't mean that you are. You can find that out
Mhm.
later. But like, it's just like calling your hair purple when it's actually black, you know? Oh,
Mm.
no, they're just saying it to get a rise out of you, you know? Just think of it them just being, wrong. Or I'm saying that like as an individual, to them trying to get a rise out of you,
Mhm.
your reaction needs to be, well, that's not true. This is my truth, and that's okay. And don't have this kind of anger reaction because it's not a bad word. It's
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
it's something that you kind of have to kind of come to terms with, that people are trying to use it as a bad word. It's an identity,
Yeah.
and I think that it's something that for a long time, people all the time think I'm gay, which is fine because people have the assumption of what gay is, and it's not this binary like he's very sensitive and he's very open-minded. Like I'm sorry that straight men aren't sensitive or open-minded.
Sorry, you're denied your tears,
Yeah.
straight man. You
Exactly.
should embrace them. It's really good
Embrace
to cry
them.
sometimes.
It is. It's very
Yeah.
dangerous to keep that kind of like inside you.
I
Um,
feel, I feel that like 90% of the time when I'm out and I'm with a friend who is female, people always think we're a couple because I just look like a butch lesbian. That is just a fact, or at least that is the stereotype that I
mhm.
fit, and people will absolutely grab hold onto it. And I'm not. I'm pansexual. I'm attracted to all genders, inclusive, and yeah, it irritated me for a time because I feel like, listen, there is more. People can look like this and be not that stereotype.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but nowadays, I just go, yeah. So what? You gonna call your girlfriend for me? I don't know. I just like to, it's yeah. I find it. It's not bad to be called these things.
Mhm.
And I think what you're saying about an anger reaction coming from such a place, I used to do that too. But it's for me feels much more liberating to just go along with it and just make them go like, what? um, yeah, that it feels lighter somehow. The
Yeah.
weight of it is gone.
No, I mean, yeah, it just took some time. I was young, and
Hmm.
even when I was a little bit older, I was still kind of having that frustration. But slowly but surely, just understanding that, like,
Yeah.
for me, it was like, if I'm getting mad, like my emotion is saying it's bad to be gay, and I'm like, that's fucked up. I have nothing
Mhm.
against anybody with that sexuality. I enjoy their company. So so why am I reacting to this? Like, if I was being called a different, race or anything, like, if I were to get mad, do I say something internally saying that like, oh, I hate this race or hate this emotion or hate this kind of sexuality? So coming to that realization, I'm just like, I don't want my friends to think that I wouldn't accept them because I can't even accept being called it incorrectly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
it,
a good way, I think, to think about it is you responding to somebody misgendering you or
Yeah.
calling you something that you're obviously not. That shows somebody who's watching you that you would not be okay being called that. So if that person holds that identity, that it's really difficult to open that up to seeing that. If I saw somebody who was like, so okay, here we go. My kids, right? My second graders,
mm-hmm.
we had two instances this week. One, I heard, he called me gay. And we shut that down, being like, what's wrong with being gay? And then another student chimed in with us, like, my TT is gay. There's nothing wrong with her. And I was like, oh my God, I love this, first of all. But, just having that quick moment of like, what's wrong with it? Is there anything wrong with it? Or are you using it to be a jerk? And then we had another moment of like, you're reading a girl's book.
Oh
What's wrong
yeah.
with that? What's wrong? And they're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing's
Yeah.
wrong with it. It's
Yeah.
just you know, and they don't have those words yet, and it's hard to see that and be like, okay, well, this is why we don't talk about this, but you're 8 years old or 7 years old, and so we can't use those words yet. You're not quite there, but let's just not say it yet. And then we can have a discussion when you're older and you understand
When
the
you're
larger implications of your words.
yeah, when you're out of my classroom.
Yeah, kids. My nephew is 4.5, and his favorite cartoon is My Little Pony, and I understand that because it's quirky, funny, colorful, and fun. But yeah, that is not like seen as a positive. Don't ask me why. Well, you can ask me why, and I can give you the answer, but you know the answer. But that is not always like accepted by other children, and he's still very young, so he's just like, I like this, so I will do with it as I please because I am in the psychotic 4 to 5 year old stage. And I hope to God, I hope that he will just stick with it and just feels free to be able to watch whatever he wants just because he enjoys it, not because it is labeled in a binary that is so outdated that it just absolutely turns into mummy dust when you look at it.
Truly.
Yeah.
That would be really nice. I hope.
Yeah.
I have a niece and a nephew, and I am more close with my nephew because it's a sister, and then I drop those things because her boyfriend is not very open to any sort of gender fluidity.
Oh.
And girl, let me tell you, I'm gonna be the queer aunt for that child.
Yes.
But it's very interesting of seeing how that, you know, grows and develops in a child, and it's sad and it's a big thing. But I'm really happy we're starting to have these conversations because they do apply to, you know, what we do in our lives. They apply to a lot of different people. They have that. I know before we started recording, we had the conversation of like playing. Well, we're talking about playing characters who are different from ourselves, but what if that goes one step further and you're playing a different gender identity? Like, how does that change your thinking? I guess I haven't done that. I've always, okay, no, hold on. I've done binary. So I've done male and female characters. I tend to go female because women. And I would much rather watch a woman jump around than a dude. But I guess, Lee, do you have any experiences playing non-binary characters, or how does that look? I'm gonna quit bombarding you with questions.
No, that's okay. One of my absolute favorite characters that I play in a Strahd campaign is a non-binary tiefling, and that I made that choice because I wanted to play a non-binary character because my gender is somewhere on that spectrum, and I wanted to reflect that in a character. And I was very nervous about it for some reason because it mattered a lot. It matters a lot to me. And by the way, I am 35, turning to 35 this year, so I'm older than you two, am I not?
Not much by me. I'm 32 this year.
All right. Well, I grew up in the binary, like hardcore. So all these developments that I see for younger queers and people growing up, that is fantastic. But I am still, as a person, trying to break out of that. And I noticed that a lot of hang-ups that I have. I mean, how do I explain this correctly? You grow up and you learn things the way things are, and at some point you start questioning them, like, wait, this isn't right, this is not who I am, and that creates a lot of tension. And I still have these moments where I'm like, I owe people, for example, androgyny because I identify as a non-binary person, which is absolute fucking horseshit. You don't owe people anything. Your gender expression is yours and valid. The end. But I really it helped me to play that character. It helped me to put those worries and to put those feelings of tension in that character, not on a very surface level, but just for me as a person, while playing and later writing journal entries, to work through that. And also the questions that came up in game were really good for me as a person. Like the DM, there's an orphanage in Valaki. If people who play Strahd know what I mean. And we had a mission that ended up there, and we had interaction with the children. And well, my character looks absolutely like androgynous. There's this. It's just you don't know. You're not sure. And children are blunt. So the GM was like, "So, are you a boy or a girl?" And I immediately just shot into anxiety mode, because in real life, when somebody asks me that or would ask me that, that for me is like, oh no, oh no, oh no. What if they're going to not accept what I'm going to say now? So I just say, do I have to choose? And the kid was like, I guess not. And that was the end of it. And I was like, wait, what? And of course, this is a very controlled situation and a very small thing in a game, but it made me think more about that I should not overcomplicate my own thoughts about being outspoken about gender. That's a lot of words for what I'm trying to say, but I hope that makes sense.
I think it absolutely makes sense, because you basically come out every time you have to introduce yourself to somebody. So all of those fears, all of those things that happened before you really affirmed your identity to the world, they come back because you're like, oh God, I have to do this again. Like, what if they don't like me? What if they say something? And then, what if I make them feel uncomfortable? And you're like, okay,
Good
but
God, yeah, the level of, because of course you have bad experiences. I have bad experiences, and
we live in Texas. You fine here. We know.
Oh, good, yeah. We don't take kindly.
Auntie? No, just kidding.
But yeah, you have bad experiences, and that gives you anxiety to do that again. But to not do it and to just continuously just let people like misgender you basically is much worse. So playing that character, and in very, very small ways, because one of the other player characters is a very like secluded druid elf who has lived in the woods for like hundreds centuries, and she has no idea about modern gender binary and non-binary concepts. So that conversation is also something that was really eye-opening for me. Like, okay, there's hope, and I know that this is a fake situation in a fucking fantasy game, but it helps, so don't be afraid to do that. And now I try to, if I will ever meet new people in real life ever again, if I do not die of the plague. No, I joke, but it's a horrible situation.
It definitely is.
I deflect everything with humor. So I am trying to be like, hey, my name is Lee. My pronouns are they, them. What are yours? And that's still really, really hard for me to do, but I'm getting there. And playing a non-binary character helped. So, yeah.
I love that magic that D&D brings, especially when you are going through a journey like that. And so if there happen to be any queer, non-binary children, because you're definitely not listening to this podcast because it's like 18 and up, but if you are a child, that's a great way to start, practicing and feeling. And I know that, a lot of the youths that I know through like theater and stuff, like they're old enough to have an identity. They're like, cool, yeah, that's fine. Like, whatever, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
my like high risk youth that I work with up in my school, in my class, that's where it tends to be a little more prevalent because there just aren't resources and times to have that identity conversation. Whereas my nephew is for sure going to have that conversation every day. And he's going to be like, no, Auntie, I'm not gay. You can't make me gay. And then we'll just have to go with another straight white boy. So.
Oh dear God. Yeah. Well, yeah. But that is yeah, definitely. And I think it's also important to realize that, I mean, I've played female characters, male characters, non-binary characters, and I still do that because yeah, that works for me. But there is fluidity there throughout our lives, and things change. Our identities are not like set in stone, and yeah, there should be space for us feel safe in how we identify.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
us trying to figure ourselves out is a journey.
yeah, absolutely.
It makes complete
So then the
sense.
question is, would you encourage somebody who did strongly identify as male or female play a non-binary character, or does that feel like a moment where, like, how do you even understand half of what I'm experiencing in the real world?
I don't know. Um, I mean, I think that's a little. I think that's about what are they trying to get out of it. I mean, if they want to do it, absolutely go for it, of course. But like strongly encourage or strongly like advise, and I don't know. I mean, for me, it's very personal, and I making a character is very personal. So just for the heck of it, I guess. I don't know if I can answer that question.
And that's fair. I think
Yeah.
I wouldn't. It's not like I wouldn't not advise it as a DM. I
No.
think
Yeah.
that it's because how kind of it sounds like Lee came upon it was to kind of see something or try something. It's up to the player. Do they want to try something? Do they want to see something? Because if you kind of advise, hey, maybe try this. You can. If they don't do it, that should be fine too. I've played female characters and immediately have been hit on, and I'm like, oh, what? It's okay. This is happening now. So to have those new experiences and understanding in a very small population, um, I think it's interesting to widen your horizons. I mean, same thing with classes. If you're not used to a class, play a different class, see how they work, and maybe have a better understanding of how you can like coalesce with the group or understand their needs. I think just like practicing class, changing what you're not used to or what you're not comfortable with helps you broaden your horizons, even in that small aspect of class. But also, you can do that with gender too. Just
Yeah.
see how it looks and
Yeah, of
feels.
course. No, you're absolutely right. I think I like the why, and if you can do it in a situation where you feel like um, because that is also the thing, I've had an experience where you play an online game, or at least you try to play an online game, and they would say like, yeah, we don't want to have queer or gender related strange gender things, like people can get really weird about that, but that is obviously not a safe situation to try that in.
Hmm.
um, but yeah, I would definitely encourage to discuss that with your fellow players, and also just ask them to be respectful of the pronouns that you choose for your character, because that's important.
We can have fantasy races, but we can't have real genders. That's the line we draw. Dragons,
Oh dear
okay.
God.
Non-binary, that's way out of this
Yes.
scenario.
How dare you? How dare you? I will throw a three-headed dragon with a blue flaming eyeball at you, but no, you cannot wear pants and a suit jacket and say that you are.
Oh my
Exactly.
god.
That
Yeah, I feel.
See, that's the humor. It's really sad, but we're making jokes
I know.
about it.
I know. I know. No, it's really sad. I hope that the future brings more broadened horizons, because that is absolutely, if I look at 10 years ago and now, that is a big difference.
Oh yeah.
yeah. Onwards to progress.
Oh yes, for sure.
Yay. Look, I just found somebody's homebrew of how to be a Sesame Street character or a Muppet as your race. So I don't want to hear anything about.
Oh my god.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. I won't drop it in
Please.
there.
Please.
Yeah, you can be a Muppet, you can be a dragon, but you can
Yeah.
also be a they them, and that is 100% beautiful.
Yeah. Absolutely. What Muppet would you guys be, though?
Oh.
A grouch,
just-
a grouch type. I don't know what that would be, but a grouch type. I think they'd have a
Who's the
higher AC because of the trash can.
Oh, good God. I just, the Dutch names are completely different.
Oh,
I was just having a conversation about this with my partner. I showed him the pictures of Big Bird, and they're different. They're colored. Big Bird is not yellow.
It's blue for us.
Yeah.
And his name is Pino.
Yeah.
Oh, so who's the trash can guy for you?
Do you have a trash can guy? Is the first
Yeah.
Okay.
His name is Oscar.
Okay, we have Oscar. He's still there. That checks.
Gotcha. I just said he's Oscar the Grouch, so I just said Grouch. That's my
Okay,
bad.
I need to. I'm not sure anymore now. It's also called Sesamstraat in het Nederlands.
I think I'd definitely be like an Elmo, like chaotic good character. I don't know, chaotic good. Ugh. Definitely chaotic though.
Oh goodness.
But yeah, I think that's the next one shot has to be very colorful. It's for us to do that.
Or it doesn't have to be, and we're bringing color to the world.
True. That's a lot. That's a big mission for a one shot. That's all I gotta say. I'm slowly but surely getting better at making my one shots just one shots instead of like turning into this large episodic thing.
Oh goodness. Yeah, I feel this in my bones. Yeah, I think my only successful one shot, like I haven't done a lot of them, but the one that I did homebrew was just to give the DM a break, and I literally just made a vacation island and a vacation style. You know how resorts have like these really touristy maps
Mm-hmm.
where you have like super colorful, you have like a Ferris wheel on it and other attractions like in little graphics. But that is so hard to keep within a day. Good, and you just think like, okay, this is obvious, you know, they're going to figure this out, and of course, which is just the crux of being a DM at any point in time for any game. Of course, they go the other fucking way to the thing you didn't really like define.
Yes, 100% yes.
Oh, goodness,
That is something.
it's really, really hard.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh god. All right.
Okay, but
Let's
let's wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap this up.
We're really good at it. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll talk about anything forever.
Yeah, I've listened to a couple of episodes, and
shucks.
it's just really, it's just great, and I hope you guys continue for a very long time. So.
Well, thank you. If you ever want to come chat, you're like, I just need to talk about Dungeons and Dragons.
Or life.
Listen, do not give me
No, 100%.
this invitation.
Doors open.
Invitation is, and words are a thing.
Yeah.
Don't give me this invitation. You don't know what you're getting into.
We'll find
No,
out
I'll take
later.
it. We'll
Yeah.
find out. We'll take it.
We'll regret it later, but I would rather regret it later than not give you that invitation ever at all.
Yeah.
All right.
Fair is fair.
Well, Lee, is there anywhere the internet can find you? Anything you want to plug or send people your way?
You know, I completely forgot about that, but yes, of course you can. You can find my general artwork on Instagram and Twitter at Spacemonster Arts, which is my handle. That's a long story. I will not explain it. Just come find me. It's memorable.
Well, thank you, Lee, for joining us. Definitely go check out their artwork. It's beautiful on the Insta, and you know,
It's incredibly appreciated. Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun talking to you, and I wish you both the very, very best.
Oh my god, we're best friends forever now.
Yay!
Yes. I'll just send you dog pictures, and you can send me snow pictures, and
Oh,
it'll
God,
be
please.
beautiful.
Dogs, cats, snakes, animals. It's just send me all the cute animal pictures. It's all good.
Well, thank you all for joining us for another episode. If you need to sponsor another person on Patreon, come join us. We're at DN Degrees Pod. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram. After the new year has begun, Adrian and I are going to do a better job of staying on top of all of our stuff. 2021 came with a crash and a bang and new jobs. Right, Adrian?
Yeah, not yeah. All that.
If you enjoy what you're hearing, please give us 5 stars on your podcast app. Only 5 stars, otherwise you will never be able to draw with your left hand again. I don't know. That was definitely not a thing, but there we go.
It was aimed at a very specific population.
Yeah, I'm left-handed, so I don't know why I had to attack my people.
Well, thank you so much for listening. My name's Adrian.
And I'm Alex.
And I'm Lee.
Go have some fun.